Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley, and welcome back to Steelers Almighty. Appreciate everybody being in here today, man. We have got a great show lined up for you guys. First thing is first. Off season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We were quote unquote all in on the 2025 off season. Well, it's been a flop, ladies and gentlemen. It has not been things have just gone off the rails as far as that is concerned. We'll break that down for you. The season is not over for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's been a lot of doom and gloom, not only from me, but basically anybody associated or talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Been a lot of doom and gloom lately, but I'm going to break down why the season actually is not over. Next, why the Steelers won't run the football. I don't know. I can't figure out why the Steelers just won't run the football, ladies and gentlemen. It's still a mystery to me. And then the fire Mike Tomlin chants. Look, we don't have to like them, but they got to start moving the needle. They got to start moving the needle, even for the biggest Mike Tomlin apologists, who I think might actually be Art Rooney II. It's got to start moving the needle. So appreciate everybody being in here, man. Again, Steelers Almighty is the fastest growing Steelers channel on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/Steelers Almighty. Any of your social media platforms, you can find us at Steelers Almighty. And if you prefer the audio version of this podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, make sure you subscribe to Steelers Almighty. So remember to like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in the comments, and always hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Steelers Almighty content comes out. Let's get into this, ladies and gentlemen. So first, the 2025 offseason. Look, the Steelers made trades. They brought in free agents. They did a lot of things in the offseason thinking, okay, the Steelers are trying to make a change. They're trying to put things in place that can improve the roster to try to ensure, because that was the big push. It was, you know what, we got to win a playoff game, We want to win a playoff game, but not necessarily, you know, not necessarily take away from our future. So if you don't sacrifice your future, we can still do this thing. Steelers did that per se. But let's break down exactly what has happened with the Steelers offseason and where it currently sits. Well, they traded for DK Metcalf, and look, his stats for a wide receiver right now, for a guy that's making $30 million, come on, man. He's got 45 catches, 605 yards, and 5 TDs. That is not the stats of a $30 million plus wide receiver. Now, I'm not blaming all of this on DK. I'm not even really blaming the majority of it on him. But some of it is his fault, because you can see he's not great against press man coverage. He's not great. Doesn't get a ton of separation. But some of it's scheme and not having enough time to throw, and then quarterbacks either missing him or just not looking his way. But the Steelers did that. They made that trade. I would guess that's not working out for what we wanted to work out for anyway. Okay. Now, they traded for Jalen Ramsey and signed Darius Slay. So Ramsey is now a safety. Now, first off, they signed both of those guys to be a corner, to be cornerbacks. That's what they did. Now, I know that Ramsey was going to work some in the slot. But for the majority, he was going to be a corner. And Darius Slay absolutely was going to be a corner. Ramsey is now a full-time safety, which I'm fine with. He's had some good moments, and until a couple weeks back, it had kind of solidified things. Well, it started to take a step back, but I wouldn't necessarily say that's him. But again, signed to be a corner, he is now a safety. Darius Slay, on the other hand, no longer a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers football team. Look, we probably saw this coming. An NFL Super Bowl champion, a guy that started on their football team and actually looked good, decided he was no longer going to be a part. Not, hey, we're going to use you as a backup. We're going to keep you around. We'll sign you to a deal. Maybe you can play some nickel for us. No, we're just going to let you go. Steelers pick him up. He was awful. He kept getting hurt, which we're not blaming him, but he kept getting hurt. He wasn't any good. Got his starting job taken away, and he was cut. And if we're being honest, deservingly so. So maybe that move, those two moves worked out. I don't know. They traded Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now, I know that Jalen Ramsey, there was all these draft picks back and forth, but to put it in layman's terms, Minkah for Jonnu Smith. Well, Minkah is having damn near all-pro season by every metric. By every single metric, Minkah Fitzpatrick is having an all-pro season. You look at Jonnu Smith. He's got 30 catches for 190 yards. You heard me right. 30 catches for 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, and one of those touchdowns was the first week of the season on a little pop pass. The little pass behind the line of scrimmage. Yeah, that was one of his touchdowns this year. Now, again, I'm not going to blame all of this on Jonnu Smith. That would be silly to say that it's all his fault. The scheme and just not going his way, whatever the case may be, it's not all on him, but some of it is. And that, I would say, that move isn't even remotely close to working out. Traded George Pickens for a 3rd-round pick. Now, the only thing that I would say about this, first of all, George Pickens is 7th in catches, 2nd in yards, and tied for 3rd as far as touchdowns. I always back that up because Pickens was a knucklehead, although extremely talented. And if you've spent any time on this channel, whenever his name has been brought up, even last year when he was on the team, I've said the same thing. He was always a top 10 talent as far as pure talent. He always was top 10 in the league. It was all the other stuff, the other things that came with it. The Steelers had enough. He goes to Dallas. He's on his best behavior. Why? Well, he's getting the football a lot more. And 2, he's trying to get a big paycheck. And that's probably in reverse order. It's probably he's trying to get a big paycheck. And then 2nd, because they're throwing him the football a lot. Matter of fact, I'm positive it's in that order. But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Steelers didn't want to wait for that. But my thing with that is people look at his numbers. Do you really think, we have DK Metcalf. Do you think they would be using Pickens the same way? Do you think that he would have the same numbers in Pittsburgh? There is no way in the world that would be the case. Now, maybe he would have better numbers than what he had last year. I don't know. We'll see. We're not going to see. But there's no way he'd even be remotely close to what he's doing right now. Nowhere close. And that's okay. But a 3rd-round pick, who got the better bargain? That's what we're talking about here. Are the Steelers going to draft a 3rd-rounder that's going to be better than George Pickens? I'm not saying you can't get somebody that's good. The chances of them being better than Pickens is slim. Very slim. I'm not going to say slim to none, but they're very slim. Moving on. 1st-round pick for Derrick Harmon. Now, Derrick Harmon is a difference maker when he is out there on the field. He is, especially against the run. Derrick Harmon gets after it in the run. He was gone last game. Lo and behold, a team runs for a damn Acrisure record of 249 yards. Just picking them up and putting them down against us. Now, would he have been able to stop a lot of that? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I said, but I know it looks different when he's out there. But Derrick Harmon was drafted in most people's eyes specifically to stop the Baltimore Ravens and others, but basically to stop the Ravens from being able to run the football on us. And he's already missed 3 games. I think Derrick Harmon's injury, now this is just pure speculation, but I think it's worse than what they're letting on. He's not playing this week against the Ravens. Hopefully he comes back the rest of the year. I think it's a situation where it's worse, that it was easily he was going to be out a month, and they just didn't tell us that. That's what I think as far as Derrick Harmon is concerned. Hopefully he can come back sooner because we need him. We need him. So then they brought in Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is averaging 189 yards passing. He's got 19 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, but 189 yards passing. That's despicable. That's despicable. Now, again, nobody's blaming it all on Aaron Rodgers, because there's plenty of Steeler fans that somehow became these huge Aaron Rodgers fans. But nobody's blaming it all on him. Like, if you want to take and say that the scheme doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in Pittsburgh offensively, you're kidding yourself. Of course it does. But Rodgers isn't seeing the field like he used to. He's not mobile, but we knew that going into this. He's starting to hold the football a lot longer, and it's costing the Steelers. I mean, it's okay to say that he's playing a little bit below average right now, because 189 yards is despicable. But again, not having receivers that can get separation for you, a scheme that's not good for you. This is kind of what you're looking at. Not to mention offensive line. The offensive line, maybe especially beginning of the year, you couldn't drop back and throw the ball deep down the field. And he couldn't hold on to the football that long because the offensive line wasn't very good. And the biggest issue, not issue, but thing that the Steelers did in this offense or in this offseason, according to me, they paid TJ Watt. They paid TJ Watt, and he is being outperformed by Nick Herbig. Now, some of you will say, no, that's not true, Big B, because he's got more sacks. Think about the impactful sacks that Nick Herbig has versus TJ Watt. Okay? I'm not even talking about how much money one makes compared to another. I mean, if you want to make that comparison, then it's a no-brainer that Nick Herbig is outperforming him. But I'm just talking about impact on the field. You notice Nick Herbig when he's out there. And Herbig is doing it with a hell of a lot less snaps than TJ Watt. Well, come on, Big B. They double team him. They triple team him. Rawr. Come on, man. What do you expect? They paid him higher than one guy, and then another guy got paid after him to make more. So of the top 3 guys, as far as edge rushers, TJ is second, but the guy that gets paid the most, clearly, and that's Micah Parsons, clearly has more of an impact. He's changed the Packers defense. And I'm sorry, Pittsburgh Steelers fans. You know that I am nothing. If I'm nothing, I'm going to be honest. Myles Garrett is better than TJ Watt. He has been for a little while now, and he's proving it. And then they double and triple team those guys too. So to act like that TJ's the only guy that gets double teamed and chipped, that isn't true. That's not even remotely true. And Myles Garrett has 19 sacks. Now you can say that, well, the Browns defense is better than the Steelers. They are. But teams also drop back and throw the football against the Steelers. It's not like they just run it. And the numbers just don't look the same, man. They just don't look the same. Now, the one thing that I will say about TJ is that most people in most years, the people's biggest gripe with him is that in December, he's faded. In that December, he's been non-existent. Well, here we are in December. Is he going to turn that around? Has he said, you know what? The way my training is, I've got a lot more left in the tank for December. I'm going to let it all hang out. Will that happen? I don't know. We're going to find out, ladies and gentlemen. But for me, those have been the things on why the Steelers offseason has been a flop, because of all those moves. How many of those can you honestly say worked? Worked like we thought it was going to work? How many of those? And those are all key. Now, there's others. I'm not saying there's others. But when I'm saying of those moves, which one of those you say, yep, that worked exactly like we needed it to work? It hasn't been good, man. Let's go to the poll. So, who do you think has the biggest, or who has been the biggest disappointment for the Steelers this season? A, DK Metcalf. B, Jalen Ramsey. C, Jonnu Smith. Or D, Derrick Harmon. Put a 1 in front of the answer so we know exactly what poll question you are answering. Let's move on. So, I'll take responsibility for this next part, people, is I have been ultra negative over, I would say, probably the last 3 weeks. Now, some people would say, oh, you're always negative, Big B. Rawr! No, I just tell the truth. And sometimes you guys don't like me telling the truth. And it comes across to you as negative when all I'm doing is just stating the obvious. Okay. However, I can admit that I've been a little rough over the last 3 weeks. But here's the thing. The season is not over. It's not over. Now, there may be some of us that are pessimistic and don't believe, even if the Steelers back into a playoff, they're not going to do anything. And I happen to be one of those people, by the way. But it isn't over. The Steelers can still win the division. And I know after last week, you're going to say there's no way. I'm one of those people that said the same thing. There's no way. There's a way. Dag nabbit, there is a way. Look, there are 5 games remaining. And the Steelers realistically can win 4 of those games. Now, will they? It's a different conversation. But realistically, they can win 4. Hell, some people might say, no, come on, Big B. They can, any given Sunday, you can win any game. And you're right. But I'm just going to say, realistically, the Steelers have an opportunity to win 4. The Lions on the road is the only game I don't think the Steelers can win. Because the difference is because I think the Lions will score 40-plus points on us. Because they can throw it, they can run it, they got an innovator as far as Dan Campbell, who's now calling the plays. They'll do anything at any time. I think they'll be miles ahead of us when it comes to that, and we won't be able to slow them down. Everybody else, we can win. We can win, and that is the difference. We play the Ravens twice. We know how that's gone. I know last year they beat us 2 out of the 3 times that we played us, and the last 2 times we played them, they beat the brakes off of us, especially the last time. But the Ravens aren't good. Like, that's not a good football team. Look, we don't want people to be hurt. That's not what we do. Not on this channel. We don't wish that on anybody. But reality is reality. Lamar Jackson's out there playing hurt. You can see it. Hamstring, ankle, reports of a toe injury. Like, Lamar Jackson is not the same guy. He's not out there running around, juking linebackers. No, here I sit here and say that. He'll have 150 yards rushing against us on Sunday. But I don't think that's going to happen. So we have an opportunity there. We really do. Okay? Then we have Miami at home. And if the temperature's Monday night, and if the temperature is what it's supposed to be in Pittsburgh, Monday Night Football at night, I mean, it's going to be 40-something degrees at most. Miami's coming there to win? Miami hasn't done that in over a decade. They haven't won when the temperature is 40 degrees or less in a decade. If they come and do that to Pittsburgh, I'll tell you right now, if the Dolphins come in and beat the Steelers on Monday Night Football and the temperature is 37 degrees, Mike Tomlin should be fired before he gets off the field. If they break that streak against us on Monday Night Football, it will be time. Immediately it will be time. I'm willing to say that right now. Then we got the Browns. Now, the Browns, their defense is really good, but their offense is not. Their offense is not. We got an opportunity. So that's who we have left. Those are winnable games, man. They are. Now you look at the Ravens. Here's what the Ravens have. Okay? The Ravens, Bengals, Patriots, Packers, Steelers. And then they have us again. So they have us, then they have the Bengals, then they have the Patriots, then they have the Packers, and then they have us to end the season. I'm sorry. And here's the thing. The Bengals aren't out of it. The Bengals can win out. You look at their schedule, yeah, the Bengals can win out, and 9-8 very well might win you this division. It very well might win you this division. Now their defense is terrible, but Joe Burrow is back. They might just find a way. They're not out of it. So they'll be playing for something. The Patriots are trying to get home field advantage, and they're playing some of the best football in the entire National Football League. They're playing for something. The Packers, same thing. They're trying to win their division. They're going to be playing for home field advantage. So the Packers will be playing for something. And you know we're going to. I'm just saying. That's a tough road for the Ravens. They got back into it because they got through the easy part of the schedule, kind of the easy part that we had early on. Well, it gets tough at the end. I'm just saying there's an opportunity. The season is just not over for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know, like I said, ton of pessimists out there, myself included. But if you're just being logical, Steelers have a chance. They got a chance. And if they can somehow figure out a way to put it together, they'll win the division. They'll win the division. And I know coming off of that performance against Buffalo, it seems laughable. It seems unrealistic, but it's football, man. It's football. Fortunes change all the time very quickly. And that could happen for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's go to the poll. Whew, man, can things change. So what do you believe the Steelers' regular season record will end up being? Will it be 7-10, A, or B, 8-9, C, 9-8, or D, 10-7? Didn't even put an opportunity for us to win out on as far as a poll because I don't think it's realistic. Don't think it's realistic. All right, let's move on. We're at the halftime, people. Again, want to thank each and every person out there for supporting Steelers Almighty. Thank you guys very, very much. Make sure that you subscribe if you have not already to the channel. Also, you want to become a member. Look, we got a lot of things going for members right now. We have our watch parties for every Pittsburgh Steeler game on Sundays. We watch the games together, and we have a great time in there. We laugh, we argue, we cheer, we cuss, we do it all, man. We have a good time in there. Plus the all 22 breakdown of the entire football game. If you're at the all pro level, you get that as part of being a member at that level. So make sure you sign up if you want to get that kind of coverage and that kind of access. Also, make sure you go to our merch store, man. We got a lot of good stuff right now. SteelersAlmightyShop.com. Make sure you go over there. We got hoodies, beanies, because that temperature has changed. So make sure we got a fire hoodie over there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just waiting for mine to get in so you can see me in it. It is incredible. You guys will love it. Make sure you go over there and check that out and go pick you up one. Get you one before Christmas. Make a great Christmas gift for your kids, your husband, your wife, friend, whoever. Make sure you guys do that, man. So appreciate you. Let's get back to it. Underdog just dropped prediction markets, spreads, totals, and team outcomes. And the best part, you can combine them with player picks for bigger multipliers. Sign up today with code Pittsburgh and make a $5 fantasy entry to get $100 in fantasy bonus entries. Prediction markets are live in 25 states, including Texas, California, and Florida. And Underdog is available in over 40 states. Prediction markets, player picks, all on Underdog. So, why won't the Steelers run the football? I don't know. I don't know. Now, last game against the Bills, it wasn't overly successful. I'll admit that. But you didn't even give it an opportunity. And part of the problem with the Steelers is we don't stick with it enough. Is that you don't stick with it. And then Arthur Smith tries to outthink himself. They know we're going to run it. Okay, run it. Sometimes you have to be able to run the football when a team knows that you're going to run the football. That's just part of it. Sometimes you have to be able to do that. And sometimes you'll win, you'll lose, but that doesn't mean you just go away from it altogether. And Arthur Smith sometimes gets in his head, at least it appears that he gets in his head, trying to out-trick and outthink. And it's just like that 4th and 2 call against the Bills 4th and 2, and we're trying to go in. I want to say it was like at the 8 or 9 yard line or something. That's a passing situation. Why are we running there? And then we get into other opportunities. It was 1st and goal from the 9. You're like, okay, we're going to run it in. And we throw a screen pass. Like, oh my God, just run the ball, man. Again, it's okay if they know that we're going to run it. It happens. It happens. And here's another thing. Jalen Warren is averaging 4.2 yards a carry, and Kenneth Gainwell is averaging 4.7. So it's not like the Steelers aren't running for good averages. They are. But if you don't stick with it, it's a moot point. And like I mentioned, Arthur Smith's play calling, it's just been despicable at times, man. There's no rhyme or reason to what's going on. It's like he's just out there calling plays versus setting up something and, hey, we come out in this formation and with this personnel group and we run one thing. Come out with the same personnel group, same formation. But you know what? We run 3 different plays off of that. The Steelers don't do that. Like if you watch Steeler football, when they come out in a certain formation, you know what they're doing. In some instances, that's good. But in most, you can't. It's just like run it. Oh, but you're always going to do it on this down. There's no unpredictability ever about the Steelers. And I think that's part of the problem. Again, you can run the ball when they think you're going to run it, but you can also disguise it with different things, and the Steelers never do that. They never do that. I also think that Aaron Rodgers, he continues to check out of plays. That's a problem. We've seen it several times where we're supposed to be running, and he'll check, and it'll be a lame RPO. And I'm like, man, just run the ball. 2nd down, it's 2nd and 3, run the football. Nope. Going to check it. Going to throw the football. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. So it is just another part that it shouldn't go unnoticed. An inconsistent offensive line has also been the problem. They've been doing well for a lot of weeks, getting better, I should say, but it's still up and down. It's still the roller coaster of the offensive line is continuously up and down. Good some weeks, bad some weeks. Or the bigger roller coaster is one week they're good in pass protection, but then in the same game they're lousy in the run game. And then the next game it's vice versa. That doesn't work. Can't work. Doesn't work. And that's been also part of the problem. So we just got to get with the run game and stick with it. Now, I understand there's been a couple of games that we've gotten behind, but the Steelers have never really been that far behind, like in the 3rd quarter when you got to say, okay, we got to stop running the football. We got to stop running it. That has never really been the case. Now, we've stopped running it, but I don't think that we've necessarily have to. Even if you're down 10 points with 4 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, you can 100% still run the football because you're going to need your defense to stop them anyway. So run the ball. They just don't do it enough. They don't do it enough. I don't know why. Let's go to the poll. Don't know why. Poll 3. What do you believe is the primary reason for the Steelers' struggles in the run game? Is it A, poor play calling by Arthur Smith? B, Rodgers checking out of too many run plays? C, offensive line skill and technique? Or D, lack of execution by the running backs? And I say that every week in our all 22 breakdown. Sometimes the running backs got to help the O-line. Let's move on. Oh, a lot of bad stuff happened in the Buffalo Bills game at home. Number one, they got their head beaten in and looked just absolutely deplorable. Number 2, they booed Renegade. Never thought I'd see the day they'd boo Renegade. Now, it made sense. Don't get me wrong. I mean, fans were justified. But then the whole Fire Mike Tomlin chant that broke out in the stadium was even louder than the people that were booing Renegade. And for me, that's got to move the needle. At some point, enough's got to be enough. Art Rooney II's got to do something. And look, he doesn't have to fire Mike Tomlin right now. I know that's what a lot of people would say. A lot of people want to happen, but there's 5 games left. And I mean, it's too late in the week now, but Art Rooney should have made changes. He should have demanded real change. And he should have sat Mike Tomlin down and said, "Hey man, you gotta remove these coordinators. You got to get rid of them right now." He said, "Because this isn't working. We still have an opportunity, but this isn't getting the job done. You got to make a move. You got to change coordinators. And you can do it mid-season." Like, people are always act like you can't do that. Yeah, you can. And if Mike Tomlin takes over the defense and nothing changes, then we would have known that he all along was the person in charge of the defense. Now, if we're being honest, but most people that know the Steelers football knows that he's in charge of the defense anyway. And he 100% is. Does he make every single defensive call? No, but he makes a lot of them. But damn sure that this is his defense, people. Don't make any mistake about that. It absolutely is. But he's also got to be willing to tell Mike Tomlin, you're going to make these changes and then you're going to stay out of the way of the offense. If you're not going to be if you're going to be the defensive coordinator, then you're going to stay out of offensive business. And even if you aren't the D coordinator and you put somebody else in charge, you're going to let both new coordinators do their job and you're going to stay out of that business. Because what you have been doing by sticking your nose in here, sticking your nose in there, does not work anymore. I'm not backing off the Art Rooney II. I'm not going to back off because, again, he's the guy that's got to make the change. It isn't Mike Tomlin. I know everybody wants to badmouth Mike Tomlin, and I don't begrudge you. You're not wrong. But he can't fire himself, nor is he going to. He can't demand changes within the organization that Art Rooney II can demand. He can absolutely do it. Next thing, Tomlin has to show a sense of urgency. I mean, he heard those chants. He heard what the people are saying about him. He's not blind to it. You could hear it over the television watching the game. And if you can hear it over that, then you can absolutely hear it in the stadium. Now, I know he said he's concentrating on the game and this and that. Look, you hear stuff down on the football field. He heard it. He absolutely heard it, and he understood it. And he's got to start holding people accountable. That's the first thing. Players and coaches. He's got to start holding more people accountable. That's one of the big knocks that people say about him, that he wants to be buddy-buddy with too many people. He defutes that and always says, when a time comes where, you got to be heavy-handed, we don't care about feelings, quote unquote. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he says. Well, isn't this one of those times? Like, isn't this a time you should chew out TJ Watt? Say, what are you doing, bro? We need you. We paid you all this money. We need you. Cam Hayward, you were bitching and moaning about more money at the beginning of the year. We need you, man. We need you. Would be one of those times. Maybe it's just me, but I think this is absolutely one of those times where you got to go to Aaron Rodgers. It's not getting it done. I get it. You got a broken wrist. I understand. Do you need to sit down? Because what you're putting out there isn't going to get it done. If I need to go with somebody else, I will. And if you play like this again, I'm going to go with somebody else. It's okay to say that. DK Metcalf, what are we doing? What are we doing? Come on, bro. Patrick Queen, I know you're hurt. If you're playing, you know my philosophy. You know my philosophy on hurt players. Don't expect your best. Damn sure don't expect your worst. But Patrick Queen, come on. Let's go. At this point in time, you've got to have that sense of urgency to be able to get after people. Hell, Aaron Rodgers is calling people out in the public. Now, I know that's not Mike Tomlin's speed, and it shouldn't be, because Aaron Rodgers is out of pocket. He can call the people out, but you need to do that behind closed doors. You don't need to be calling people out publicly, because nobody's doing that to you. unless you want somebody to do that to you. Well, how the hell is that going to work? You get the left guard calling out the damn quarterback. That's not going to work. That's not a functional football team. And Aaron Rodgers knows that. But more importantly, Mike Tomlin knows that he needs to get in their face, not in public, and let them know what you're doing isn't good enough. And maybe he is doing that. I'm not behind closed door. I don't know what's going on, but their play isn't changing. So I'll just make my own assumptions and assume that he's not doing it. That's for me. That's where I'm at. He's not going to change his philosophy. I put that down as something to talk about, but he's not going to do that. That's why we're in this predicament that we're in currently. It's because he just will not change his philosophy on how to win football games in today's NFL. But if I'm Art Rooney II, I tell him you got to do it. Because if you don't, you got the rest of this season to get it figured out. And if it doesn't go the way that I want it to go, there will be changes, and that will include you. That's where you got to be with it. That's where you got to be with it. Now, I'm not sure what minority owners can do to push Art Rooney II. Probably not a lot, but I don't know the power structure of how all that would work. I just know the principal owner has final say-so. But if minority owners can put pressure on them to make a change, they need to be standing on tables, screaming loud and clear that a change has to happen. Now, again, probably means a hill of beans, but you can say something. You can say something. The problem with the Steelers, again, the whole chance of your fans chanting that in your home stadium, it needs to light a fire under everybody's ass. Period, point blank. From Art Rooney down to the water boy. It needs to be, a fire needs to be lit under everybody. Nobody needs to be easy. Nobody should be sitting, oh, man, and this is fine. Nobody needs to have any comfort level. Zero comfort for anyone on the Pittsburgh, involved in the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, because we got to make wholesale changes. They should have already done it. But it's got a lot of fire under everybody, man, because that's embarrassing. Flat out embarrassing. And every fan that screamed it, that booed Renegade, that screamed out fire Mike Tomlin, more power to you. Because while we're not on the team, and I've had this pointed out to me before, why do you always say we, or why do people say we? You're not on the team. You're not part of the organization. If I spend one penny supporting the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to say we. Because my one penny that got spent helped pay for whatever, helped pay a player's salary, an executive salary, a coach's salary. So I'm going to say we when I buy something, when I support the Pittsburgh Steelers financially. You could say emotionally, if I never gave a dime, maybe you got a point. But if you ever bought a hat, a scarf, gloves, sweatshirt, a ticket to the game, anything, then damn it, you deserve the 100. In my opinion, you deserve the 100% right to say we. We got to figure some stuff out, because that was embarrassing, and we absolutely deserve the right to boo and yell fire Mike Tomlin, because we aren't getting it done on the football field. Just the way I look at it. Let's go to the poll. Poll number 4. What should be the first step for Art Rooney II regarding Mike Tomlin's coaching staff? Is it A, make immediate changes to the coaching staff? B, encourage Tomlin to adjust his coaching staff, or his coaching philosophy, C, provide Tomlin with more resources, staff help, more hires, more analysts, that sort of thing. Because again, the Steelers have the least number of coaches of anybody in the NFL. Or D, hold off on making any changes at this time. Be interested to see what you guys have to say about this one. This is, I don't think there's a wrong answer, but I'll be interested. Make sure you put a 4 in front of your answer so we know exactly what poll question you are answering. Now, look, like I mentioned before, a lot of doom and gloom out of me and basically everybody that either associated with national media, a lot of doom and gloom about the Pittsburgh Steelers over, let's call it the last month. But there's still a path. There's still a path to the playoffs. Now, whether you think we're going to do anything in the playoffs or not, that's a different conversation. And we'll have it at the appropriate time. But winning the division is the first goal in anything related to the Pittsburgh Steelers or basically any football franchise. When you start the season, the first thing you want to do is win the division. The Steelers have an opportunity to do that. Regardless if the division is bad, if it stinks, whatever the case may be, we still have an opportunity to win it. And that's goal number one. If we can accomplish that, we'll go to goal number two, which is win a playoff game after that. So I'm not giving up on a team. I can be negative. I can be upset. I can be pissed off at what's currently going on, but I'm not going to give up because the first goal of the Pittsburgh Steelers is to win the division, and we can still accomplish that. Again, whether you think we can accomplish step two, it's a different conversation, and we can talk about it if and when we get there. That's all I'm saying, people. It's not over. Doom and gloom, yes, I get it, but it is not over. It's not over. So that's all I got for you today, man. I appreciate everybody. Thank you, as always, for showing up and showing out. Remember, like, follow, subscribe. Continue to get in the comments section and always hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Steelers Almighty content comes out. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, aloha.